Hi, primas. It's Pam, and you're listening to Las Primas Dicen. Welcome back for another special episode, primas. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about college life, okay? And I'm excited because this episode is with Alondra and our prima Ariana. And primas, I'm not gonna lie to you. When we recorded this conversation, I was very much part of it, primas, okay? And then something happens with my audio and it just was not coming through. For whatever reason, my audio was not captured, and your girl did the best that she could to edit this episode so that you all can enjoy from the amazing conversation that we were having in terms of college life. Is it worth it? Is it not? Student loans, all the things. But bear with me, primas, because I unfortunately will not be in the conversation because of my audio issues, but I have used my editing skills as best as I could, primas, to still bring you the conversation between Alondra and Ariana. And I am excited for you all to hear it. So we're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it raw. We're going to keep it honest. That's the situation. So enjoy the episode. Listen, learn. It's a great one. And try to follow the story as best as possible, considering that if there are gaps in the conversation, that's probably where I was saying something that I had to remove because my audio was not coming through. Anyways, prima, enjoy the episode and con muchísimo amor.
Hey guys, I'm excited.
Yes, primas, primos. I'm going to be 100% honest here and say that I am in a season of my life where school is residence. I am getting my master's degree, which fits perfectly with today's episode that we will be talking about college and college transitions. And I am in the finish line of my master's degree, and it has taken over my entire life. I feel like all I do is sit on the computer and do homework, and that's why, sadly, I've had to kind of take the back seat a little bit because I know this is like Pam's passion project. She's doing a great job. She's keeping you guys entertained and informed and giving you guys all the things you need. So I will be popping in, but you will see a little bit more of Pam at the forefront.
Yeah, so I actually just graduated this past May from the University of Maryland with a bachelor's in criminology and criminal justice. I was there for my 4 years. I'm originally from New Jersey, but I went to school in Maryland. So I lived there for 4 years. The time there, I was an RA. I worked plenty of other jobs. I was a nanny and stuff, but my passion has always been the criminal justice system. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but my 4 years, I figured it out. And now I decided this fall that I'm going to grad school and I'm going to get my master's in social work. I got into three grad schools. I got into FIU in Florida. I got into University of Georgia and I got into Rutgers, which is in New Jersey. And I ultimately decided to stay and go back home. So I'll be joining the Knights starting September 2nd. I'll be starting my grad school. Yes.
Mm,
Yes. Because out of state is not cheap.
that's what I was telling her. I was like, honey, life just gets more and more and more expensive.
Yeah.
When you can
And I
save,
had a scholarship.
yeah, and she got to start listening. But whatever you can save, you got to save. That's for later, the little tips for the college kids. But yeah, if you could save money, it's like ultimately, I feel like regardless of where you go to school, you're still gonna get your degree. So whatever is gonna be the most affordable option, sometimes is the best option.
I'm 50-50 on that, but we'll talk about that later. Cuz I'm 50-50 with that statement a little bit.
Okay, so let's ask Ariana some questions. I feel like the first question I really want to ask Ariana because I feel like when we are graduating, or at least I felt this way, I felt like graduation was so like anticlimactic. Is that the word? Anticlimactic? Anticlimactic.
Mhm, mhm.
I felt like there's all these years building up to this moment, and then you graduate and you're like, that's it. So I want to know for you, what did graduation actually feel like? Did you feel the same way as me, or you had a different experience?
I had the same experience. Not to say copy and paste, but I felt the exact same. My graduation, our school is big, so we have like 40,000 students. I don't know how many people actually graduated, but We have like 5 different ceremonies being held like every day, and it's just a busy time. So in the beginning of the week, it was hot and sunny, it was cute, and then once it got time for my ceremonies, it was nonstop raining every single day, the whole time. You know, it was just a lot, and I feel like that added to my mood, that I was already sad of graduating. I felt the same way when I graduated high school. Like
Mm.
something was coming to an end. I don't really do well with changes because I was becoming so acclimated to like where I was living. Like I created a life for myself in a state where I knew zero people, and I moved there when I was 17. So I was leaving away from somewhere that was like a home to me. And so for me, graduation was sad. And then you're adding the rain on top of this. Are we for real? So it was just really not, it was not what I expected. And then the actual graduation itself, I graduated May 20th. 22nd was really nice. It was indoors, was really nice. Everything was nice, but something was still not missing. I didn't have that many people come and show me support. I just had my mom, my dad, and my sister, and I feel like that kind of played a factor as well. I didn't have friends, I didn't have other family, and so that also really played a factor in it. Seeing everybody with like their big group of friends and stuff like that, I didn't have that. And just knowing that the next day I'd be packing up my apartment and be moving back home is just like insane. So yeah. Well, I feel like now that I'm actually back in Jersey, I feel like my community is like not there as much anymore. If I'm being honest, like friends and people who I thought I was close to, like it's just like no longer really as strong. So I'm trying to navigate that. I know that with grad school, like I things will come up and like I'll make more friends and stuff, but that's what we're talking about today. Like I will navigate.
All right. So I guess another question we have for Ariana is, did you expect to have everything figured out once you were done with undergrad? Because I feel like maybe because I had seen so many of my not my, well, my siblings as well, but my family graduate and like kind of already have like careers or like a job right away and stuff like that. I felt like that was supposed to be the way it goes. And that is not the way it goes. Some people graduate, they don't find jobs, they can't find jobs. This is a different job market now in 2026. So like, did you expect to have everything figured out and know it right away, especially since you already know you're going to grad school? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't know what it's called. I don't want to call it OCD, and I don't want to self-diagnose myself or offend people in the views, but like or who are listening. But like I have to have everything prepared. Like I know what I'm doing tomorrow. You know, I'm on vacation right now, but like that's how I live my life. I know what I'm doing tomorrow, and I plan things accordingly. I set myself up to be in those rooms and in those positions to have options. So all throughout college, I was having internships. I was still networking with people. I have friends who their parents were social workers or worked at schools or jails, and it put me into conversations in rooms with other people that I still have my foot in the door right now as I'm going somewhere else. So like I feel like I was always setting myself up, and not that it was expected of me personally. I didn't have that expectation from my family. I didn't feel like, oh, I felt forced from my family or that's something I had to do. It just was like, oh, this is what, what you do. Like you graduate, you got to figure it out. You're going to go to work, or you're going to take a break, or you're going to go to school. And I always knew that I either wanted to go to work or school. But I knew in today's economy, honestly, people with master's degrees aren't even getting jobs. And honestly, I didn't want to stop at the bachelor's degree. So I wanted to get my master's right away. I wanted to go right into it. And I knew that if I got into the program I wanted and was able, that I was going to do it right away. I did receive a job offer in March and I declined it. So I knew that, like, I knew what I wanted to do, and I know that social work is something I'm very passionate about. So I decided to go that route and educate myself a little bit more because my degree is a little bit broad. Criminal justice and criminology is so broad, and I don't think that would apply to many career fields as I'd like. So yeah.
Yeah, I will say that's one thing about you that I really admire. I do feel like you are very like prepared. You just have a plan always, a plan for vacation, a plan for your life, and that's something that I feel like as a 30-year-old woman, that you're my little cousin that's 9 years younger than me. I feel like that's something that I try to, get from you, learn a little bit from you, because I be a whole mess. I'm so unorganized. I'm so, so I really admire that about you, and I think that that's a great quality to have.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up for success, so that's a great thing. But I do want to ask you one more question. I feel like because there's so much not necessarily negativity, I don't want to say negativity, but just like, the feelings are not necessarily like exciting to be like back at home and things like that. I just want to know, like, what is one thing that you are excited about of being back in Jersey, getting a new school? Like, what's one thing that you could be like, you know what, I think I'm really excited about this.
I feel like I'm in a season where I felt this way a lot my senior year, where things were no longer serving me, things that I felt like I used to like, even friends. And it's not that like the state of Maryland I was so in love with. It was just like the feeling of comfort and knowing that I knew everybody and stuff. I think the biggest thing I'm excited for is knowing that like I have so many new opportunities and new people I'm about to meet, and like it's gonna be insane. Like it's gonna be insane. Like new friends, new experiences. Like I don't feel like I've, not that I don't feel like I found my forever friends, but I feel like I'm in a weird moment right now of like I don't really know who's there for me just because like personal stuff. So it's like I'm excited to meet new people and gain new experiences and stuff. I think that's what I'm most excited for because I feel like I'm in that transition period where that's all it is. It's about to be all new stuff for me. I tend to freak out when those new things come around, and then I'm trying to handle it as like I handled when I became an RA. My first year, I was so scared, and it was probably the worst. Like I wouldn't eat. I was scared. I literally cried, break down. And then my third year, I was team lead, and I was like, guys, calm down. Like just put up the board like this and just do that, and like you'll be done. And I'm like, Ariana, if you handle it the same way you handled that, like, in 2 years, you're going to be graduating, crossing that stage, and be like, girl, you did that
Mhm.
with ease. So I'm trying not to freak out about the new things and just try to enjoy and be excited about it.
Yeah, they say 2020 is hindsight, right? Hindsight is 2020, whatever. You guys know what I'm saying.
Yes.
I think that it's exactly what you're saying. Like, as you mature, you just know more. And I think that also plays into our relationships. Like, as you mature, those relationships are more mature. Like, whether it's with the actual partner or with your friends, like, it's just different. It's not the same as
Hmm.
having your like young little, even though, that's beautiful too, to have friends from your childhood and everything. But I feel like the maturity of grown relationships, especially now, like me and Pam, we're in our 30s, like the friends that you make now, like those connections are like deeper, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
They're meeting you in like a new season of your life where you're
Yeah.
like just more mature and all that. So yeah,
Mm.
that's good. But let's move on a little bit.
I think it's also I think it's also good to mention like obviously plans don't follow through. Like I came into college wanting to be a forensic psychologist, and not that it's not as similar to a social worker, but I wanted to work in the FBI. I applied 3 years for 3 summers to work at the FBI summer honors program and was denied every single time. And like that was redirection and leading it led me to so many other things. So it's like as much as I wanted to plan and I planned my summers in Cali. I even spoke to Lolo's sister, which is my cousin. I was like, what if I go out to Cali and like do my internship out there? And I'm like, like that didn't happen. And so like as much as you can plan, just be open and like have those conversations with your friends too. I think that's another thing for me was that like I was surrounded by people who also wanted good for themselves. And like we helped each other. They're like, maybe you go to the career fair, man, go find this out. Go to the career fair and they'll help you schedule an interview, like a mock interview. Like I was surrounded by friends who always tried to like help me and help each other. I think that's also important along with a plan because some things don't go to plan. So I think that's important to mention as well.
I will
But
say before you
mhm,
guys continue on, I do think that this generation, that's something that I love about Gen Z. They're so aware of themselves and like what they like and all of that. I feel like us growing up, our millennials like me and Pam, we were kind of just going off like number one, what we thought our family wanted from us and what we thought like made the most money or whatever. It wasn't really about like us thinking introspectively, like, what do I like for real? I feel like a lot of our experiences were like that. And I feel like Gen Z is truly like getting to know themselves. Like they know what they want to do.
mhm,
And I think that helps the path to be a little bit clearer because like you know what you want. Like for me, we'll talk about me later, but I accepted into school as a nursing major, and like halfway through my nursing thing I changed. I was like, nope, I'm not doing this. So we have a lot of that with us millennials, like the changing of majors
Hmm.
and changing of major. And not to say that it doesn't happen now,
It
but it happens
does.
a lot less. It happens a lot less than it happened back then. Like most millennials, they'll be like, yeah, I switched my major like 5 times.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I think Gen Z is doing a really good job with like understanding themselves and what they want.
And it's hard because we as Gen Zers think that we're not doing a good job, and we look up to you guys who are in these certain positions and like living your lives. And we're like, well, how did you guys even get there? How do you own a house? I look at the both of you guys. I'm like, y'all own a house, and I'm over here like worried about what flight I'm going to book next. Like you guys own house, like you guys own homes, and I'm like, guys, so it's like it's reverse. Like, see, we still look up to you guys. I think that's the hard. It's like you guys are talking about pressure, and it's like, well, what else do you do in that? Like, you also don't know how to navigate it because it's your first time. Like, your parents don't know how to fill out a student loan form or reach out on that stuff. So it's like my sister experienced that a little bit too, and I did a little bit like going out of state. And that's why when Lola brought up the comment, like, save money as much as you can and like stuff like that, like I agree to an extent, because there are just some people who like, I could not be myself where I was living. Like my family, and if my family listens to this, they already know. We've already talked about it. So I'm a very vocal person with my situation, my mental health, my vulnerability. I'm just very vulnerable. But honestly, I was not growing in the household that I lived in. And like even going to Rutgers, which was 30 minutes from my home, was not going to be suffice for me. I needed to literally leave, be my own person, and make my own decisions. And if I decided in 2 years or a year I wanted to come back, I knew I was allowed to. But I'm so glad that I did those 4 years, because now I get on flights by myself. I book things myself. I've been in hotels by myself, booked, done grown things. I've been to interviews by myself, traveled to the Midwest by myself. I've been to the hospital by myself. I've doctor's appointments by myself. I've been in situations with the cops at work and stuff. And like, I've navigated so many situations on my own because I lived on my own. And we come from, households, like families that they like to hold our hands through things. And for me, like, I was tired of that. Like, I wanted to be able to make my own decisions. So some people, yes, like they don't have the funds for it, which I didn't have the funds for it, but I took those loans out. And so I know you're saying, like, oh, the loans thing, but I took those loans out because mentally I wasn't going to get through school living in the household I lived in, because they didn't see me as I was, like, mentally. They just, we didn't address that. Mental health wasn't a thing. I actually wrote my college essay about that. And honestly, I think that's why I got so far, was the lack of emotional support in my household pushed me to leave my household so that I can grow and be the person I am today, enough that I'm able to go back. So I think that's important, because I know that some people run away from the loan idea and stuff, but like, you know, if you're confident in yourself, it'll come back.
You see, what had happened was so essentially, background information on me, I did get my bachelor's degree from FIU, and I got my degree in psychology with a minor in anthropology, and I have not used that at all. Haven't used it at all. My first job was literally being a teacher. That was my first big girl job, and I really haven't done much after that. But the whole journey was that I left education to focus on being a mom. I, thank God, was blessed with being able to stay home with my kids, and I've had a great time doing that, to be honest, as stressful as it gets. And my gap right now is, I think I just hit 3 years being at home. And I was like, I need something else to be able to move into a different field, because my whole goal is to do a career pivot. So, like I said, I have a degree in psychology, I was in education, and I have a lot of people in my life who are in human resources. So I decided to do that. I also decided to do that because human resources has so many different avenues that you could do. You could do payroll and benefits, you can do training, you can do learning development, you can do employee relations. Like, there's just so many different things that gave me like a broader, I'm a person much not like Arianna, who does not know what she wants to do. I'm 30 years old and I'm telling everybody out there that we still don't know what the hell going on over here, okay? We're
Mhm.
figuring it out. So human resources was something that I was intrigued in enough to feel like, okay, I can do it. And like I said, my gap now when I started grad school, my gap was 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years. And I was like, no, if I'm gonna make this pivot, I feel like I need to have at least some type of schooling under my belt to like give me an advantage because I have not been working for 3 years now. So I decided to go back to school for my master's. And to be honest with you, it has been very challenging being a student and a mom at the same time. It's hard, especially right now that I'm at the finish line and the classes are more rigorous and I'm like
Mhm.
on the computer all day and my kids want to play and go outside and I can't do nothing for them. I try to pick certain days where I give my kids time, but for the most part, my life has been school, school, school. And that's why everything has taken a backseat, even the podcast that I love because I love obviously talking to my primas, you know? So yeah, that's what made me go back to school. It was the gap and also that I'm trying to make a career pivot. To be honest, I feel like I'm still talking myself into feeling like starting over is okay simply because I haven't seen that many people like start over, at least in the way that I am. But I still have seen, I have enough experiences, like even your experience, fam, that gives me confidence like I could do it. Because you we thought you were a teacher, teacher, teacher. You were the teacher of all teachers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You made that change and you have successfully done it. Your husband also did that change. And so I felt like, you know what? It's scary and my version of it is obviously completely different because we're all, we have different things. But I do feel like what is not scary for me, and that goes back to like kind of what Pam was talking about with fear about like the kids and like how they're gonna pay for college. One thing that is very secure for me is the fact that since my husband is a veteran, a disabled veteran technically, like as 100% disability, like there's so much security in my life. Like our bills are always going to be paid. Our kids get schooling free because he's 100% disabled. So when they go to college, we don't even have to worry about paying their tuition. Like there's so many things that feel so like secure and like blessed. Like God had his hand on that. You know what I mean? That I felt more freedom to like try again and do something new because there's like security in like how I feel financially, but also security in like just where I'm at in life. I feel like at this time, at 30 years old, I feel the most like me that I've ever been. And me and Pam talked about that in the other episode, how we felt like she was like, I feel like I'm coming back to myself. I said, no, I feel like I'm finally discovering myself. So I think like this is like coming at the perfect time. Like I'm in a time of like self discovery and I'm also just adding on to who I am. So like, yes, it was scary to start over, but I'm glad that I'm doing it. And I think that it's also going to be, since my kids are seeing it, it's gonna be something that like helps my kids, that they see like their mom was working and like maybe give my kids like a stronger worth ethic because that now today's kids are a little spoiled. And yes, my kids are spoiled. They are. I give them everything that they want, but at least they can see me like working hard and they could feel like my mom did it, so I could do it too. Yeah, I will say I feel like when I was younger, success to me was very like, I want to be a millionaire. If I don't have $1 million, I'm not successful. like I would look at my parents, and that's so like it hurts me now to think about because like I would look at my parents and be like, damn, like these people, they don't have not that they don't have nothing, but like you look at some families that like there's generational wealth and they bought their kids all these cars. Like my parents, my dad was the sole worker and like I never got a car. They never bought me a car or nothing. Like I was just like, damn, these people got nothing to offer me. You know what I mean? Like to me, they weren't that successful. But now looking back, I'm like, damn, like they're so successful. Like my parents had a beautiful life, raised their kids right, and were able to provide for their kids everything they needed. Maybe not everything we wanted, but everything we needed. We never went without anything that we needed. So that's like success to me. And I feel like right now in my life, success is literally just being content and making sure that my family is content. Like all of the, obviously, I want all of the things. I want to graduate, I want to get my master's, I want to get a job that's high paying and all of that. But it's just like my version of success is like being happy in every stage of everything. Like even right now, I'm like very happy that Ariana's here because I feel like because I've been so school, 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 school. I don't even like go outside, I don't do nothing. I've been to the pool like 3 times since Ariana has been here, and my kids have so much fun. And I'm like, you know what? This is life. This is life
Mhm.
here. So just enjoying life is success to me, regardless of what stage you are in your life. Because look, let's think about it. You could look at like some homeless people on the street and they're happier than the people that are living in a mansion.
Mhm.
So
You have to find your little joys in life every day.
correct. That's
Yeah.
success. Finding the joy in life. Mhm.
So student loans, 100%, 100%. especially now that like I've been going back because some of my friends have had their grad parties from like high school. Well, my friends from high school, middle school, they graduated college, and so I'm coming to their parties and I'm seeing everybody again. And there are some people who are still in trade school or didn't finish school or stopped school or just never went to school, and I just like I truly feel like sometimes being around certain people who lack, I don't know how to explain it, like some people lack some social skills, or like they're just like, oh, I've never been to a football game before, and I'm like, okay, like, or like I've never went to a darty a day party before. I never this. I'm like, guys, it's fun. Like I've never been to the bar on a Tuesday night having an 8 a.m. That was my life. Like, it's just like there are certain things you just learn through that experience. You grow to a certain extent, and it's like I don't want to hate on the people who didn't, because my own sister didn't go to school out of state. She stayed at home, so it's like, and she commuted from there. But I still feel like there are just certain things that you qualities you pick up on when you live away from home, and you do that. Considering the loans, I'm an entrepreneur myself. I have my own business and I've excelled. I'm a photographer and I've excelled in school. That was one thing that I was scared about, was moving from New Jersey to Maryland. My clientele was going to change, but now I have people who want me to come back down to Maryland to take pictures. And so it's like now I have clientele in both places, and I feel like you can actually grow. I like going to a big school. I went to a fair and I had my photography on display along with other small business owners, black small business owners and stuff. And so it was nice. And I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. Master degrees. I think it's all worth it. I'm not falling for the propaganda of not going to school in higher education. I can't sit and hear that conversation because I feel like it's worth it. The only thing that no one can take away from you is your education and your knowledge. So you can't take that away from me. Haha.
I agree. I would also say it's worth it. And I think for me, it goes back like, whoo, I'm talking about there's so many women, specifically women in not in our generation, like in our bloodline, that never got the opportunity to even go to school. And I think about like our grandparents and stuff like that. Like my grandma would always be asking like, oh, like questions about college and stuff, because like obviously that was not her experience. Our grandmother was out there popping 17 babies in DR. Like, it was completely different, but she would ask me questions about school all the time. And it's interesting because when I graduated from my bachelor's degree, my grandma had just passed away. And so my mom wasn't at my graduation. It was just my dad and like my cousins and stuff. Shout out to Bibi and Noah and Amari. But yeah, my cousins were there. And it was like, I felt like that moment was like for my ancestors, for my grandma, for Mama Leo, for all the women in like all of our family members that couldn't, but also specifically like the women that couldn't and didn't even know probably that they would ever have family, that are like all these girls out here. Like our family is full of educated women. Everybody got
Mm-hmm.
bachelor's degrees and now are working towards master's degrees, a bunch of us. So I feel like that's the honor. That's the honor. Like, and I'm glad that we're all doing it, and that like our daughters, that's gonna be normal for them. Like, yeah, oh yeah, master's degree. Yep. Next.
Mm-hmm.
PhD, whatever else they want to get. So yeah, I feel like it's in general, regardless of the loans and all that stuff, it's just like a blessing that we're able to have. So why not? And like you guys are continuing to say, like that's something that nobody's gonna ever be able to take away from you, is your education and your knowledge and your brain. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
worth
think
it.
it's I think it's also important to mention too, like although like we're very aware of our own like United States, but like I'm Dominican, Lolo, you're Dominican, like we're all Dominican, Latino, whatever, right? But in other countries aside from Latin America, having an education as a woman, period, it doesn't exist. Like it does
Mhm.
not exist. It's not an option, like at all. And so the fact that we get that option here, we get an option to pick even community college as an option is insane to other people on the outside. So there's some people who have family overseas somewhere, and they're like, yeah, they don't have an education past fourth grade for a woman because they have to go home and cook and work and whatever, so it's just like it's also something that we should think about too. Like it's a blessing in that way, not only for our families but for other people who don't even have the experience. So it's like, let's be the educators so that those people can have that
Mhm.
opportunity. Let's be the policymakers so that that can change, or so it's not just for us, because I have a lot of friends who are doing like internal affairs and relations and stuff outside the US, where it's like they also need help too. And
Mhm.
we're blessed to be where we are now, even if we do have to take some student loans in the process.
Okay, let me start.
Yes, girl.
Say that my one advice, and it's because I feel like I didn't do that, is to network and make connections, not only with like professors and stuff like that, but with people in your classroom. Like, I feel like if I was not forced to talk to somebody in my class, I wasn't talking to nobody. I was not talking to nobody. I did not go to school outside, out the state or whatever. So I literally would go to FIU, be in my classes, go home. That's it. Like, if I did talk to people, it was people that I already knew from high school. And then there were some friendships that I made, obviously through, like I said, being in groups with people. But I feel like everybody that I see that kind of has like a leg up in life is because they made the connections in college with either friends that have later then helped them get a job, or know somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Or they made really good connections with those professors that gave them really good recommendations, and then they got either good internships or good jobs or whatever. So I think like networking and building connections in college, that's gonna set you really far in life. And I wish that I would have done that.
That's good. I think I kind of realized that while I was in college, and I feel like that leads to my piece of advice is that trust the process. Like I said, like honestly, coming into college, I thought I wanted to be in the FBI. I wanted to work for the behavioral analysis unit. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to work high profile cases and work with little kids or families who honestly are victims to like serious crimes, and like that's what I wanted to do. And not that I don't want to do that, but much on a lower level, more personal. I saw how even being a photographer, like being with people one to one and having that clientele and people who would come back to me, and it's like I knew them, like, oh, how's school, how's your dog doing, how's your this. It's like I wanted to have that connection with people, and so I was like, let me do like social work, case management. And when I had my internship at the Baltimore City Juvenile Justice Center, I worked in a justice detention center, all boys. And like when I came back each week, it's like I knew those boys. Whether I met somebody new, they knew me, and like getting to know me. And so knowing that I wanted to be in a setting that I was able to get to know people for who they were, and not like because in FBI, it's like, you got to figure that out. And once the case is solved, it's done. You got to put that back and there's something else coming to you. But with social work and case management, it's like a time you have to, it's like making a cake by scratch. It takes time. And that's what I want to do. I want to grow with people, and honestly, like with in college I learned that, like genuinely, like I came in and I was a very social butterfly. I was senior class president in high school. I had so many friends. I was Hoko queen. And then I came into college and I would stay in my dorm every night, Friday nights. I would go home every weekend. My first hollow weekend, I went home and did nothing. Actually, I saw my ex, but like I did nothing. I did nothing fun. And like I was like boring. And then I finally met some friends that brought me out of my shell. And I genuinely had to trust the process. Like, trust that everything changes for the better. Like, I've been through so many ups and downs, and Lolo can know because I call this girl crying all the time, every month, no matter the time of day. Like, OMG, this just happened. And like, I didn't think I was going to graduate. And here I am. Like, this teacher almost failed me last year for like a stupid reason, and I thought I was gonna not get my scholarship, and I was gonna have to just deal with it. But here I am. So genuinely trusting the process and knowing that like everything's gonna be okay, and if it's not gonna be okay, find alternatives. Plan like I do. So yeah.
Honestly, I'm just gonna wrap everything up by saying, if you're in college, do what you love, build those connections, and like Ariana said, trust the process, primas. Y'all got this. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back soon.
Bye.